Simplified Chaos, episode 125.
Life is beautiful and full of chaos.
And it can get slightly out of hand if that shit's not tamed.
We're here to share how to simplify the little things to help you lead a more intentional life.
This is Simplified Chaos.
Hey, wonderful friends. Welcome to Simplified Chaos. This is Jillian, one of your hosts, and I'm with my husband and co-host, Nicholas.
What's going on, folks? Hope you all are having an amazing week. Sorry we missed you last week, but we were out of town and did not have access to our equipment.
To say the least.
Yes. So, with that, we have another great show for you this week. Jilly, what are we going to talk about?
Ooh, this is going to be a fun one because Nick and I are kind of going to interview each other about remote working and then just getaway experiences, because both of us have had different experiences the past week, and we wanted to share a little light onto what that looked like and kind of how the reflections we've had. And yeah, I'm really excited to ask Nick some questions about remote working and to answer some questions about my recent getaway with a friend.
Exactly. So stay tuned for that. But before we dive into that, as always, we love to show some gratitude before we get into our topic. So Jilly, what are you grateful for this week?
I'm grateful for two things. Number one,
is that allowed?
Yes, it is. Number one is you.
Oh.
Just for being the partner that just grows alongside me and listens to me, not just hears me.
What?
And you always do that when I say that.
I do.
If you haven't,
it doesn't get tired.
If you haven't listened to previous episodes, anytime I say that Nick listens to me, he's always like, huh? Yeah, you're such
That's
a
because
joke.
I'm listening.
So true. I mean, just going with it. Like if I say I need something or I want to explore something or I want to try something, you are always on board and you never like, you sure about that? I don't think that's a good idea. You just kind of let me go with what I feel is best and then learn from the experience versus trying to tell me what you think. If you do have an opinion about it, I don't know, but you're always encouraging me with just, that's exciting, or go for it, or, just positivity instead of always like judging or like putting your fear into a situation if you did have any. So I'm just very grateful for the way you communicate or not communicate. And also Facebook, and I can't believe I'm saying this.
Whoa.
But before,
unexpected.
I've been using Facebook Messenger recently to connect with certain people in the area to try to find a babysitter for Lucille. And when I was on Facebook, I did notice something popped up a year ago today, or is it July 26th? Anyway, it's like a year ago. What is today's date?
Today is the 26th. Okay. Yes.
Okay. A year ago today.
We're recording this on Monday, July 26th. Sorry, go ahead.
Right. This is going to sound kind of crazy. A year ago today, this is the weekend we first explored Charlottesville.
I did see that. And we were supposed to be in Colorado, and we were not comfortable at the time taking the flight. So we decided to look at the map, and I don't know if we really looked at a map.
No, we just heard good things.
We heard a lot of great
place.
things about Charlottesville, so we were like, let's get an Airbnb. Let's see what's open down there and do some exploring. We know it's close to the mountains, and we had an amazing trip and fell in love with this area.
Yeah, and for those who may be here for the first time, we live now near Charlottesville. So
yes.
It's kind of crazy how within a year we found this place, we explored this place, and we said yes to
the dress.
to basically moving our whole life here. And so far it's been pretty magical, and I don't know, it's so crazy. You feel like a year hasn't been a lot of time, but when you've been dreaming and talking about what you want and where you see your life evolving, it's kind of like everything just led to this place. And it's just kind of cool that we're here, and it seemed like it kind of happened fast, but really this is the ideal setting that we kept describing to ourselves about where we saw ourselves next. So it's just kind of fun.
Yeah.
Looking back, reflecting. But yeah, what about you? That was a long one, sorry.
No. Well, you had two of them, so.
You're welcome.
mine kind of ties with the episode, so I think it'll be a nice little transition, if I must say so myself. But for me, I'm grateful for home, and I know we had this conversation yesterday. We had a very interesting, I don't even want to call it a vacation, but time away from our house here in Charlottesville. We didn't have like the same experience, although we did have some overlap in what we did. But like, I was gone for 10 days, you were gone for like 8 days, came back, and then we're gone again. So we had a lot of different experiences, but like, it was just really nice, like just to get back home yesterday, and the three of us just kind of picking right up where we left off. And it feels like home anytime we walk in here, and just kind of being away from it for that long, really just confirms that, this is like the right choice for us. And I know we kind of have all these, I guess, affirmations with every episode, and when we really think about it, that this was the right choice. But like, it's just really nice knowing that is the right choice that we made for our family. And it's been great because this past trip was all about seeing friends and family, and it's kind of how we envisioned it, like us being able to go back to Maryland whenever we want to, or for in my situation, not only go back to Maryland, but go to Delaware to see my folks. So like, this was a very easy trip for us, and I'm ready to do it again. Like, this is perfect for us. So yeah, that kind of like is what I'm grateful for, is just this home, our family, and just everything, about us, just really kind of brought everything together. And
I kind of agree. It's about the feeling, like being home. It feels so good. And you're right. It's kind of like the universe giving us its approval, like you did the right thing, or this choice was good for you, which makes me think that because I think our radar on that feeling and that vibe are so acute right now, I feel like when we know if we have to make a change, it's going to be like, okay, we feel this way, we need to shift or do something different. So I'm grateful for this experience, because I think that our radar on what's best for us is really effective. Like, we're on par with like feeling out the situation. Like, this feels great, we can make decisions that align with that. And then I think we're really good now at being like, all right, this doesn't feel good to us, let's do this instead. So it's nice to feel confident in making decisions and just having that feeling, vibe radar, like really like going strong, like, all right, this is the right thing. Or like, if we do feel something that's like off, or like, all right, we know we need to do X, Y, and Z. So yeah, it feels really good to be home, and it felt really good to be away. I like that. I think that it's kind of like with kids, it's like you contract and you expand with them. Like kids, like you be with them and you have time, but then you need to get like expand and let them have time by themselves. So it's like kind of like in life too, in relationships, like it's nice to have time together, and it's nice to expand and like separate and do something different or have a different atmosphere. So I kind of like how our situation is kind of like how we thought it would be. It'd be like, we have a lot of time here, but then we expand and travel, and we could have getaways together, getaways without Lucille, getaways separate. So it's nice, all the freedom and support we have to make that happen.
Yeah, and this is just kind of the beginning of all that. And, we've come to realize that this is exactly, like I said, what we thought this would be. So, yeah, I mean, I'm excited for, what happened over the last week, but, what's to come. And so now we're going to have a little bit of an interview session, because Jill and I had such different experiences, but I think there's some great lessons that we can learn from these experiences that we wanted to share with you lovely folks. So Jill, how do we want to set this up? Do we want to kind of talk about like what we did first real quick and just try to summarize it, what you did in 2 minutes and what I did in 2 minutes?
Well, let's just do you first.
Okay.
And then we can dive into me.
We'll do me.
Yeah. So Nick, tell us about your last week.
Sure. So it was kind of cool. I had a planned meeting that I had to be at my actual physical building for last Wednesday. So you were already going to be up in the area, and it just so happened that the team I played softball for when I was living in Maryland had a softball tournament the weekend prior to that Wednesday. So I was like, all right, well, you're already going to be up there. How about I join you on Thursday and we can do a date night Friday night, and then I would be playing my softball tournament that Saturday. Friday I worked from your mom's house, did the softball tournament over the weekend, and then had regular season softball games that I played in. So I played in 4 games over the weekend. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I worked from the office, just because I had to be in the meeting on Wednesday. And, your cousin also works, so I didn't want to take up all the internet bandwidth at their house. So I was like, I'll just go in the office those couple of days, and got a chance to meet my new boss, which was amazing. And as well as just seeing some people I haven't seen in a long time. So it was really great to do that. But then you had your plans to go to Virginia Beach, and it was just like, okay, well, it's an easy transition for me to go to the Delaware to see my folks so that they can watch Lucille and I can continue to work Thursday and Friday. So, that's what I did. I worked Thursday and Friday, hung out during the day on Saturday at my parents' house, and then came back Sunday and kind of had a nice little break in that trip, seeing a friend from Copenhagen for lunch, and hopefully it sounds like they're going to come down to our way next week. But that was kind of the long and the short of it is, it was a nice long trip. It was very easy. I was able to work from multiple places, and now we're back home and back on our regular schedule. So that's me trying to do a 2-minute summary of all that.
You did very well. Yeah, and I wanted to ask Nick some questions, just because I think there might be a lot more people that may work remotely and are still adjusting to what that's like. Or there might be people that are like, hey, I want to work remotely because I also value traveling as well. Right. And I would like to be able to travel and work. And I wanted to pick Nick's brain, since I did a little bit of remote teaching and traveling this past year, but now that I'm not working, it's like I wanted to pick Nick's brain just because he's been traveling to a bunch of different locations. And I'm like, how are you staying sane? How are you balancing it all? What is making this transition so easy? So I did list some questions to kind of ask you, just to see if it could be beneficial for anyone else out there who's in that weird, I want to work remotely and travel, but I don't know how to do that. How do I have less stress when I'm doing it? And I know to each their own, but just to hear your point of view.
Sure.
Okay. So how do you create a quote unquote optimal working environment when you travel to other places?
So it's always about, number one is trying to find a quiet place. And I know that's not always the situation in some of the areas that you go to, but luckily that was available to me in every place that I worked at. So at your parents' house or at your mom's house, I had the kitchen table, and it worked out because everybody was next door at your sister's house. So there was minimal interruptions there. And, I keep a very minimalist kind of work setup anyway. I basically have my laptop, and I have an extra monitor that's very lightweight and easy to set up. And just my mouse, and I use the keyboard of the laptop. So it's a very easy setup and easy breakdown, fits into a messenger bag. Plus I just have to carry the monitor with me. But all of that just is really just kind of finding the right spot and then just making my setup as easy as possible.
Okay. What advice would you give to someone who wants to travel and work at the same time?
So I think that, the initial thing is just kind of getting over the fear of not being able to get done what you want to get done. So that was kind of a big thing for me. And really the pandemic helped out. And when we would go to work at my mom's house, you and I would do the same thing and having our separate space. But the biggest thing is just, knowing that as long as you have internet, you can work from anywhere. And I think for a lot of folks, you get really comfortable with your desk and your surroundings. And think about it, if you're in the workplace, you had a desk for years, you didn't share it with anybody. You may have shared it with some people, just kind of depending on the work environment. But for the most part, you've had your own desk. Nothing really changes. Your setup is really easy. But with working remote, my desk could be the kitchen table. My desk was my actual old desk at my job. My desk was upstairs on a fold-out table at my parents' house. So it's really, just knowing that you can do that as long as you have an internet signal, and just kind of staying organized and making sure that, you can accomplish what you need to with a very minimalist setting.
What tools or platforms or things that help you keep organized? Like, I know you're very much the digital king, and I was wondering if there's anything you could share that really helps streamline you just kind of organizing the chaos of work when you are in a different environment.
Sure. I mean, yeah, everything that I have is online, which makes it accessible, whether it's by my laptop or even my phone. So we use a couple of organizational tools within my job. My team itself, my marketing team, uses Microsoft, just a Microsoft product. I think it's called Projects or something along those lines. Or no, I'm sorry, it's a Microsoft Planner. And it just, because it integrates with everything that we do, and integrates with Outlook, and integrates with Microsoft Dynamics, which is our CRM. And it just allows our team to share things very easily. For like my personal tasks with work, I use an application called Asana, which really helps me break out my day, and more importantly, like just see my projects along different stages that I've set up. So I can do that. I also do carry a pad of paper just in case, sometimes the old fashioned way fancies me. And so, I have my pen and paper and can take notes there. So really, I kind of go across a lot of different platforms when it comes to staying organized, even Microsoft Notes to take notes for certain meetings. But yeah, at the end of the day, it all ends up in the same place. And, it's what really helps me kind of stay organized and meet my deadlines.
So it sounds like even though your environment changes, you still have some continuity with the planning tools, which probably help keep you like in the work zone.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you spell Asana, by the way?
Asana, Asana.
I know there's a lot of apps out there. I'm just curious
a ton of them.
Why you picked that one, or is it just because...
I've worked with it before, and it's evolved a lot. I mean, there's some other apps out there that I haven't explored, but for me, it just kind of worked. I like the way that it lays out and everything like that.
I'll have to
So
check it out just to see.
That's a good one.
I don't know if you'll have an answer to this one, but I just wanted to ask you anyway.
False.
What rhythms or routines are non-negotiable when you do work? Like, I know you may have
there are.
Yeah. Like, what are rhythms that you definitely, they're the same no matter what, which I'm sure help make you like grounded as well when you travel.
Yeah. So mine kind of revolves around one of my self-care techniques, which is coffee. My non-negotiables are 2 cups in the morning and 1 in the afternoon. And usually the afternoon one has to be at like 2:00. Like, that's kind of right around the sweet spot for me in the afternoon. My mornings can vary. Like, it really depends. So like last week I had to make an adjustment. And I kind of went back to my old ways when I was actually working in the office, where I would drink like 16 ounces of water in my drive to work. And then I would have my coffee like that I would pack with me and have that at my desk. So, I drink coffee earlier, I guess, when I'm working away. But yeah, that's kind of my non-negotiable is just the coffee thing. And then, it's everything else is kind of just the same. Yeah, that's really it.
So just coffee.
Yeah.
What about like meal times?
Varies.
It varies?
It really depends on
Curious.
Even working here at home, my meal times kind of vary just depending on how my days shape up. There are some mornings where it's a very light breakfast, which could be just a Larabar or, a piece of cheese or something like that. And then there's other mornings where I'm just like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and make some eggs or something like that. And then you also, some mornings will make some breakfast for me, which is nice.
So you do eat breakfast and lunch no matter where you go.
Yeah,
like you make sure that you are getting
food
in the system. I know there's some people that just like power through and they made a different, environment, and they're like, oh, I forgot to eat. So I just wanted to hear like you definitely eat like your breakfast and your lunch. And
some days it calls for something quick. Like last Friday was a little I wouldn't say hectic, but like I was just busy, and if it wasn't for my mom coming and saying, "Hey, did you want to eat something?" When I was working at their house, I still would have ate something, but like I probably would have put it off a lot later than what I normally would eat. So, other than that, I mean, yeah, routines are pretty much the same, no matter where I'm at.
And this is just my curiosity. I know, like, at our house, we have the desk that can move up and down, so
Yeah.
you can sit and you can stand. So I guess, what do you do when your circumstances are different? Like, do you adjust and, like, find a different place to stand, or you just kind of sit all day? Like, do you...
So at my office at work, it's tough to stand just because there's nothing there for me to prop it up on. And even if I did, it would have to be very tall. I'd have to stack like 10 books to get it to the height that I need to get it to. But luckily, because there was people in the office, I would get up, we would go to the conference room. So there was a lot of getting up and walking around. And again,
Go to the conference.
go to the conference. But, at my parents' house, that desk, I used the desk that you were used to working on upstairs.
Oh.
So it's kind of like in an interesting height where you need kind of a stool to stand on it. So I was actually able to stand up, and the computer was at a decent height in some of the meetings that I was in. So like I would stand up and just kind of walk around, and it was harder to type or work just because I couldn't get it high enough for me to actually be comfortable with that. But like if I was in a meeting, I would stand up and walk around.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you feel more or less effective working when you're traveling?
I would say it's about the same. I wouldn't say I feel any more or less. I
Gotcha.
feel like very early on in the pandemic, it was making that adjustment. But once you kind of get the routine down, and as long as you kind of stick to that, like, your work is your work. I didn't really find any distractions at either place. I think, when you're in the office and you haven't seen people in forever, you're meeting people, then some of the breaks might be longer, but then you kind of make up for it in other areas. Like, when I was at the office with lunch, it was just kind of eating while working. So like all the time kind of really balanced out. I wouldn't say that I was doing any more or less, but, just having the flexibility. And ever since I started remote working, I definitely feel like I'm more productive. And I think it's because there usually is less distractions during my day.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. What are some of your favorite takeaways from your experience with remote working?
Just the fact that I can work from anywhere, and whether it's at my parents' house, your mom's house, at the office, or if you wanted to go somewhere and I just needed, to continue to work, but just wanted to change it up, that I could do that. It's definitely a new day and a very interesting time, and I fully plan on taking advantage of this whole situation and continue to work wherever I want to work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Almost done.
Man, you really lined them up for me.
I did. Okay. How do you handle... I know I kind of witnessed this.
Oh.
How do you prime your mind to handle issues with Wi-Fi and technology? Because I know you heavily, that's the one thing about remote work, is that you heavily rely on that. So when things go wrong or there's glitches, like, how do you prime your mind to just namaste through it all?
I think it really depends on the time of day that you figure out that you don't have access to internet, or that your internet isn't as strong as you feel like it should be. So like, luckily in a lot of the situations, you can always use the hotspot on your phone. But like if you are getting ready to get on a call and then all of a sudden like your internet is like not as strong, like it gets a little hectic there, and you start to freak out a little bit. But you can just kind of text people, and there's so many different ways to communicate, to say, hey, I'm going to dial in. Like you can call in with the phone in a meeting. There's a lot of different things to do. So you kind of just figure it out. It's not really, the end of the world, but like there's plenty of ways to kind of connect. And in my situation, I found out that just kind of turning the video off saved some of the bandwidth, and I was still able to be in the conversations. Just people couldn't see me. They could hear me. I could see what they were doing, but they just couldn't see me because I needed that extra bandwidth there.
And I don't know if you noticed this, I guess since the pandemic started, I feel like people at work, whether alongside you or above you in positions, they have so much more grace than they did before. It's not like they weren't like empathetic and like, oh, I understand. It's just like when technology is complicated, it's like, you know, they were just like, it's all right, like no worries, we'll finish this another time. Like there's not a lot of like, what were you thinking? You know what I mean? So I feel like it's nice that employers have a lot more grace when it comes to just things not going the way they planned.
Yeah.
Okay, last question I had. What is something you've learned through remote work that surprised you?
I don't know if I've had any surprises as of late, but I definitely think that at the beginning of remote work and just like those first 2 weeks, it was just like, I think I felt like, how the hell am I going to get any work done? You know, I was propped up in the dining room. There was kids running around the house. I mean, it was just utter chaos. And then, you know, just kind of made a slight change in the environment. And then, you know, come to find out you're capable of so much more, you know, when you're in your home environment and stuff like that. So like, that was kind of like the biggest surprise, because I just didn't know what it was like. Like I've worked from home a handful of times before, and just never really given it any thought. But like, that was like the biggest concern. I was like, how the hell am I going to get anything done? And luckily found my rhythm, and it was all good after that.
And I'm sure you're definitely not alone in that. Just
no,
especially if your home environment's just like utter chaos.
Yeah.
Okay, babe.
All right, Jilly. Well, how about you set up your little week and a half there, and then I'll start firing away.
All right, I just want to
I'm
applaud
more off
you.
the cuff.
And that's good. Like I just want to applaud you, because I felt like your answers were seamless. It was like you had no thinking time. I would probably be like, oh, let me ponder about this for a good 5 minutes to collect my thoughts.
No,
So,
I mean, I've been
good for you
doing this for a little over a year now, and
True.
a lot of lessons learned, and yeah.
Okay, so my situation, for those of you that don't know, I used to be a teacher, but I quote unquote retired. So now I am not working. Well, I am working. I'm a full-time nanny / mom. I'm going to call myself a nanny now. I just watch my daughter Lucille and help her thrive and survive, and help myself thrive and survive. So I did go back to Maryland, my hometown, and stayed with family, and was with Lucille and family and soaking all that in for a while. And then I came back home to Virginia and had 2 days by myself, which was so strange in the beginning, but then I was soaking it in. But the reason I had to come back is because I went to Virginia Beach with a girlfriend for a little beach getaway, and we were there for 2 nights, and it was so wonderful. So we both traveled, but so first we were together in Maryland, and then we separated. So yeah, I was not doing any kind of work at all like Nick was. It was just like watching Lucille, taking care of myself by myself, and then soaking in all of the getaway vibes in Virginia Beach, and then came back home, and now I'm here.
So my first question.
Uh-oh. You have that look on your face.
Well, it's going to be interesting, because like for the last 3 years, you haven't had like alone time in a house for multiple days.
No.
Like when I first moved into this house, when we first moved into this house, I was here for 10 days by myself. Now that's a lot of time to kind of do whatever and kind of things for yourself. So I was just curious, is like, what was that experience like for you? And like, you know, did you like it? Did you not like it? Yeah.
And it wasn't good, bad. It was just different, because I think I forgot what it was like to be with myself for that long. There was definitely this discomfort hump that I had to get through. Like, I'm so used to either like watching Lucille or just hanging with you, and, you know, like thinking about what meals to prepare next, or what do I have to clean, or just like, what are we going to do today? And it was like, all right, what do I want to do with myself? Like, there's no other parties that I have responsibilities to take care of or to plan for. So it was definitely like weird in the beginning. But then it was like kind of reverting back to childhood, which was really fucking rad, to like, what did I do when I was a kid, when we just had time to just do what we wanted, you know? So I tried to revert back to things that I enjoyed when I was a kid. and I got out some paper and I was just like coloring and like drawing, and then I decided to write because the experience that I was having, I was like, I need to write this shit down because this is what I'm feeling about it. And I was able to reflect a lot on just this transitional period because I'm realizing that I had a lot of fear about just not working. And it's so weird to say, like, I've wanted this time and space with Lucille for so long, and now that it's here, I feel like I need to know what's next or to provide income. So I've been really processing what my worth is, and that my worth is not tied to an income. It's not tied to a profession or a job. So I've just been doing a lot of soul searching and kind of really diving into finding me again.
Yeah.
You know, what do I want to do? Like, what do I want to explore and play, and stop focusing so much on what's next and just try to be more. I did indulge in some shows now and then, but I didn't want to get so involved that it distracted me from like really like spending time with myself. I feel like when you watch TV, you don't really spend time with yourself. It just kind of distracts you for a while, which is nice to have distractions every once in a while, but
sometimes you need that.
Yeah, so it was like, I feel like it was a nice balance between like I would watch a couple shows and then I would be really excited to like cook by myself and dance, and I think I even created some videos. So I was creative not only with Instagram and making reels and kind of sharing like my experience, but I also shared like poetry, and just I wanted to share the experience of being alone because I feel like there's a lot of people who may feel the same way. Or I was talking with a neighbor how I kind of related to what it may or may not be like to like when you're an older, like when you retire, like there's a lot of people who tell me like, you know, what do I do? Like I don't know who I am anymore. I'm trying to figure out what to do with my time. So to me, it's nice. I would like to do more of these occasional 24-hour, 48 hours days to myself to kind of like program in not to forget who I am and what I can do by myself. Because one day, yes, Lucille's not going to be here in our house, and I don't want to think about that
Jesus.
now. But I just want to make sure to, you know, I always talk about balancing time, and that's what I strive for. But I think I sometimes forget to balance time to be with myself for a long period of time versus just 30 minutes. And I know life is life, like we got to do what we can, but just to be intentional and to like you plan getaways or appointments ahead of time. Like it would be cool now to put in my planner just to be like, hey, Nick, I would like to have 24 hours by myself. And you were so open to that. And I feel like we're so great at growing together that I could totally be, you would be like, yeah, that's great. Because I would love to do that with you. Like I want to a date with myself, like 24-hour date with myself. And I want to start doing that because I think it's easy to forget what your needs and wants are when there's so many other things going on.
Yeah.
That was a really long response.
Oh, no,
Sorry.
no, that was great. I remember what my wants and needs are when I saw you. And then we came back.
Oh, you're funny.
So what were your guilty pleasures when you were by yourself?
Guilty pleasures.
Were there any guilty pleasures?
Oh, I'm going to dive into all of that. There's no such thing as TMI. So I did watch like 3 episodes of The Affair just because
So that's why it popped up on my Amazon.
Yeah. I love the buildup of
So you watched season 1, didn't you?
I didn't watch the whole season. I just watched 3 episodes because then I started getting annoyed when like certain characters were introduced. I'm like, all right, the excitement and the buildup is gone. So for anyone who's never seen The Affair, it's about a married man who has an affair with another married woman, and just the buildup of them meeting and the rendezvous and the secrecy and the sex. It was just like, I love seeing, with any love story, I love seeing the buildup of how they meet and that first kiss or the conversation. So I did watch 3 episodes of that. Oh, I did watch a movie that was really good. It was an Amazon movie, I think. It was like something about, I'll have to look it up. I'll put it in the show notes too. It was a really cute movie about, it was almost like Groundhog Day, like time had stopped and they kept repeating the same day over and over again, except it was only this girl and this boy and they didn't know each other. And it's like all about them trying to figure out what is the meaning behind them repeating this day. So it was like
interesting,
them experiencing the same day over and over again and realizing why it was like that and how they kind of found more joy and like noticing the simple things. And it was really, really cute.
Sounds right up your alley.
It does. What else I did? I took my time cooking and dancing in the kitchen, which was fun.
I saw those videos.
I didn't put on a bra, which was great. All day for makeup, which was fun. I did a bike ride, a really long bike ride, which was great. Usually I can't do that during the day because I don't have any contraption for Lucille. So it was fucking hard, man. It was really hilly, and I was trying to just listen to my body, and I was like, my heart was pounding, and I took so many breaks, but at the end it was just cool to be like, man, I finally rode around Lake Monticello. I kept putting in my planner, I want to do this, so it felt good to like finally do that and just not think so much with my brain. It was like really just focusing with my body and just like listening to what it needed. And it's not, I feel like I don't get my heart racing a lot these days. You know, like back when you're a kid, it's like you're doing practice and you're running and you're playing tag, but now it's not like I'm doing any kind of like high intensity workouts because it's just not this season for that, and my body just doesn't respond well. So it's nice to just do things that are fun, but also get my heart pumping and remember what it feels like to feel like that. Like you feel like a kid again. I feel like when I get really, really thirsty and my heart's pounding, it's like I feel like I'm at soccer practice again. Definitely, you know, took the time to make myself feel good, if you know what I mean.
Word. Yep.
Wrote a lot of poems
Probably
at
after
night.
the affair.
Probably, yes. I wrote a lot of poems at night. It was just like pouring out at me a couple nights. I did read longer than usual, which was nice. This is going to sound really silly, but there were 2 flies in our house.
Yeah.
And, you know, at first I'm like, I need to get the fly swatter and kill them. But then because I was in the house by myself, I'm like, actually, these flies make me feel like there's somebody in here.
Oh, God.
So
Jeff Goldblum.
It was so crazy. There was one morning where I felt something on my shoulder and I was sleeping, and I woke up and I saw the fly there, and it was like it was waking me up. It was like cute weird. You're probably gonna be like, Jill, get out of your head. But it was just like, and I'm like, I shook it off, and then it landed like on my face, and it was like,
Jesus.
it was like waking me up in a way. And I didn't think like, oh, this fly is so annoying. It was like, thanks for noticing me. It's nice to be noticed. So I did, and I realized that it's, you know, you want that affirmation that somebody loves you, somebody cares about you, and
Man, I could have just texted you at 7 o'clock
again,
in the
it
morning.
sounds silly, but it made me reappreciate flies. That sounds really ludicrous, but I appreciated the flies that were in our house. Guilty pleasures. I don't think I did anything. I did write a list of things that I did just in case I forgot.
So,
Yeah.
Virginia Beach was your next trip.
Yeah.
Were there any realizations you had from that? So, like, you went with a friend. You've never been on vacation with this person before. You know, you guys have a lot of things in common. You know, common interests and whatnot. A lot of similar, beliefs and stuff like that. So, like, was there any realizations you had from the weekend?
Man, I feel like going on a road trip with someone can share a lot about your friendship, and it was a big old green light. Like, me and Jess are like bosom buddies. Like, I'm so glad we're friends. We did a lot of talking, and like you said, I feel like it feels so nice to travel with someone who appreciates the same things you do.
Oh,
so it makes me be even more intentional when I do getaways, just to make sure, like, you know, I like differences, and I'm not saying I don't like people who don't challenge me. It's just that, like, to me, a restorative getaway, I need to have a balance of rest, really good food, like quality food. So someone who appreciates that and is not afraid to try something new, someone who enjoys like doing activities. Like, it was a nice balance of, like, we did biking, and then we just did like resting on the beach, and we both were okay with silence, which was so cool. And we both were okay with going our separate ways if needed. Like, she would do yoga on the dock in the mornings, and I would just stay in bed. And it's really just kind of confirms, like, just really being intentional who you surround yourself with, and especially who you go on vacation with, to make sure that they are kind of, you know, adding to the experience versus depleting from it. Because I think vacations are so precious, the time away, and you don't want it to, you know, to deplete you. And I'm sure you can learn from any experience, but Jeff definitely learned that I want to do more of those with her. And I love how open-minded she is. So I just love the people that are in my life, and I'm very grateful for them. So, and definitely, you know, I could have done that trip by myself, you know, thinking about it, but it's like, man, when you find good people to surround yourself with and go to a new place, that's just so exciting. it just like transforms the experience, So yeah, that's all I got at the moment.
What did you miss the most while you were gone?
I miss seeing you and Lucille.
I set you up for that one, and I just wanted to hear that.
You did. There, and I like just calling those moments out loud. Like we would be with Jess, and we would go out on the beach at night, and we'd take a flashlight and we would just spot like the little sand crabs that were going everywhere. And I was like, man, I would just say it out loud. Like Lucille would really like this, and it's nice just saying out loud how you feel and just reaffirming that you think about the people back home and you're trying to like pair them in your experience too. So it's almost like when I said it out loud, it was like I kind of brought you guys along with me and it didn't make me feel so sad. But I definitely miss like anytime I would go someplace new, I'm like, Nick would really love this cocktail menu. He would love this dish. So anytime I had a memory or just an experience where I think you guys would like it, I would say it either out loud or I would say it in my head just to make me feel like comforted by like, you guys are kind of here with me. And yeah.
Well, last question is, when are we going to Virginia Beach together?
Holy shit. I mean, I would go this weekend, but we have company coming. Yeah, I would actually like to go out of season. Don't get me wrong. Like it was really nice. I would like to go in September if we were open to it. Like September or October, I think would be really cool. And I would love to see Lucille out there. Yeah, I wouldn't want it to be too cold. I'd want it to still be a little warm. So I don't know.
That'd be cool to do like something, go out there for like the weekend and then maybe drive up 13 to go to my parents' house, for like a week or something like that and stay there off season. Because it's awesome off season up there too. So we can kind of figure, see how I'm tying it back. We can do a little vacation, then I go back to remote work at my parents' house.
We just tied our two experiences together in a bow, babe.
Yeah, we did.
At that.
Awesome. Any other knowledge you want to drop on?
Knowledge. Man, just to make time to date yourself.
Yeah.
Like that was so awesome to get that experience.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Are we doing any resources or quote of the day? Or I think the interviews were.
Yeah, those are pretty
much
pretty heavy with our knowledge or realizations.
Our golden nuggets for the week.
Yes, I did have a quote.
Oh, well then let's go with the quote of the day. Jilly.
This quote is by Isaac Marion, and I looked him up, and it's actually the author of the person who wrote Warm Bodies. I don't know, they actually made a movie on it. It's like a movie with a zombie falls in love with a human. It's actually a really cool storyline.
I am unfamiliar.
It's okay. Anyway, the quote is, every experience, good or bad, is a priceless collector's item.
I like that. And it's true. All right, and take action challenge. I like going with yours. I mean, mine's more like if you're going to work remotely.
You're so like literal.
Yeah.
Here, do these tips if you work remotely.
I like yours is like what you kind of said at the end there, like date yourself.
Yeah. We'll have to do another episode just about dating yourself.
Yeah.
Like let Nick have an experience and like share what he got from it, and that'd be cool. Yeah. Just to make time for yourself, to date yourself intimately and make that shit happen.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode. If you like this episode, please do us a favor and help us spread the message. You can do this by writing a review, or you can share this episode with a friend. And remember, sharing sparks a conversation. Conversation leads to action, and action is how we're able to live a happy and intentional as hell lifestyle. We want to thank you all for listening today, and we will see you again next week.
See y'all later.